first time I've ever done this, so I'll need a little help probably, but I guess the first thing, other than welcome everybody and glad to see everybody. So we have approval of the agenda. I guess that's the first thing. So is there a motion to approve the building committee agenda?
Laney, so moves.
Brent seconds.
All right. All of those in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Is there any abstentions? Okay. All right.
Can I interject just for a second? This is Teresa on the roll call. If
Yeah.
I could identify all of us on, and I'll just go through this quickly. Joycelyn, John,
Here.
Brent,
Yes.
Michelle, Michael,
Here.
Yes.
Yummy, Ron. Okay, thank you for that.
Okay. So I think the next thing is the approval of the, let's see, where am I here? The minutes of April 22nd,
Right.
2021. Is that correct?
You've got it.
Okay. So to hear a motion to approve those minutes?
I move to approve the minutes of April 22nd, 2021.
Brent Chaldemeyer seconds.
Okay. All right. So we're moving right along to the construction
Have to take a
update.
vote on
Oh.
those.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
Michael, back up and call the vote, please.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's all right.
Yeah. So all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And is there any abstentions? All right, motion so approved. And I guess the next item is construction update.
It is construction update, and I can go ahead and take it from here for a little while. And Jake, are you on the line?
Yes, I am. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, okay, Jake, would you like to lead us through this? Through the
Sure.
construction update? Okay.
Go through the what's the status real quick.
Right.
All right. So next slide, please. This is the what's the status. I'm sorry. Here's the dashboard right here with our updated invoice numbers. You'll notice that there's a new addition for work package 15 as we're getting started on that. We're hoping to kick ground and move forward on that starting July 6th, providing we don't have any other issues as we're going forward. Next slide. Here's our what's the status for June. The next slide will show you what we did in May, which was we closed the branch at Lee Summit, and we had a soft opening at Colburn Road to make sure that things were going well on the 26th. And at the Woodneath Homestead, we did paint the walls and ceilings and installed the carpet. That's rolling along pretty nicely. They didn't get them quite finished in May, so they did finish up in June this month. Next slide. This month, we had the Colburn Road book opening on 11 June, which I thought was very successful. We had great attendance for it. It was a very nice day, and it was very exciting to see everyone come and check out the building. And then we are continuing construction on the Woodneath Auditorium. It's going pretty well. You'll see some pictures of that after we do this with the our update from J.E. Dunn. And then we are also continuing on Blue Ridge with construction. Also is going well. We're looking at both of those look like they're on time, and we should be finishing them up. I'm hoping by the end of fall. And so then the Woodneath Homestead, we're doing the final touch up. The punch says the end of June. That was what was originally in the schedule. That's probably not going to happen till probably closer to the end of July. They've had a couple delays here and there. So, but it is looking very nice. We were out there yesterday touring around it and looking at it. It's going to be a wonderful site for the Story Center. I'm very excited about the way the upstairs turned out with the offices and such. And of course, the downstairs is really nice too. But right now, it does not look great because it's got construction stuff all over the place. But once we get it all cleaned up and we get the furniture in and all the niceties, it's really going to be a nice facility for people to come and use, and for the Story Center people to work at. And so that's the end of the what's the status? Are there any questions?
Hey, Jake, this is Brent. Can we go back to the dashboard for a second?
Sure.
I noted with some pleasure, there's a column in there called change. If you look at all the black ones that are completed, the 160, the 77,000, the 74,000, the 16,000, if you go on down the line, these are, unless I'm misreading this, these are favorable to us. These are savings that we received that because the final cost came in below the maximum guaranteed price. Is that correct, Jake?
That is correct.
So as we sort of think about the resources that we have sort of going, I'm adding these all up in my head. That's probably about $300,000 or $350,000 that we have saved on our completed projects when the bid came in, when the actuals came in below the guaranteed maximum price. So that's a favorable development, particularly as we get down to the end of our construction building program and saying, well, do we have sufficient resources to undertake the projects that we have in mind?
Yep, it is. We've also used some of those savings to reduce some of the prices that came in over, Brent, as well. And
Okay,
so that we basically sunk it right back into construction, which has been fantastic. It's been a great thing to be able to do.
So I know they're on the call, so I want to thank, our architects and JE Dunn for managing these projects in this sort of manner. The killer part of something like this is if you have an ambitious building program and we didn't have a guaranteed maximum prices and we were just hit with a series of cost overruns. And so the predictability of the prices and actually having them come in lower than we anticipated is really kind of it's a pleasure to see and makes this sort of manageable.
And I would echo that, Brent. I really appreciate the way that the entire team is working together and trying to get the best value for the building that we've got. And like I said, we're able to utilize that money directly into upcoming projects. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that I would bring up, if I could, Jake, is you're looking at that same column. If you go all the way down to the bottom, it says, depending upon the one you're looking at, it may say change 60% or it may say change 62%. And there was a little bit of a mix up in terms of our printing, so I apologize about that. Bottom line is 60s, that we're in the 60s. And what that means is that number is supposed to be reflecting the amount that is completely done. So if you look at our entire project, all the bills are paid and finished and tied up with a bow on top. 60% is where we are, and so the other number that I keep referring to is that if you look over at the black and green column, you can see that there are only 4 work packages left to go, and that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 of those work packages are single buildings. And the final work package is essentially, well, it has Riverside, which we all know that there's some more discussion there. But basically that final work package right now as defined is a maintenance work package. So we're definitely in the home stretch in terms of what we're kicking off. And we're well beyond halfway in terms of final completion, which is all, I think, very positive and something that we need to keep in mind.
Well said. We like I said before, I can't thank the JE Dunn and Helix and SAP enough for their continuing and ongoing effort to make sure that we have beautiful buildings for the public, but we also come in and we're fiscally responsible and sound. So
Jake, I think you were going to show pictures unless somebody had any other questions.
If there's no more questions, I'll have you flip please to the pictures.
I think I heard somebody trying to ask a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Michael, I would like to just make a comment about the home on Woodneath and the completion of that. As most of you know, we're not quite there in terms of the fundraising. And we had an occasion to meet with a group from a local foundation that is considering a gift that would close the gap. And I wanted to report to you that these are people that, by the way, are pretty knowledgeable about architecture and have strong opinions about it. And one of the things that they told us as we looked at the architecture and, of course, the interior of the building, but primarily the architecture, they noted that that it was extraordinary how the two modern buildings work together to highlight the older building that we're raising the money for. And so I thought that was worth reporting to the whole group, because there have been, at least in my own mind, there have been some misgivings about how well that happened. But these are people that are pretty knowledgeable, and we were glad to hear that they're considering closing the gap. But we're also glad to hear that they appreciate the quality of the architecture that allows these two modern buildings to complete the historic building remodel. So I just wanted to make that report, because I guess I've had some misgivings about that in the past, and if I've still had any, why that helped me to relieve myself of that.
Thank you, John. That's really excellent. Just being able to look at that and see it with our own eyes. We did about a month or so ago, and it was amazing, really, what's going on over there. So, yeah. So,
yeah, thanks, John. That's great. That's good news and good to hear. And we're, it's we were talking about it yesterday. It's been about 16 years since the since we've started with thinking about this, and here it is. We're coming to a pretty soon to a real nice finish point where we can start working and utilizing the building as we had dreamed of all these years. So lots of people involved in that, and I'm very thankful to the board for the support that we received on that. Hopefully you all see the pictures here of the Woodneath Auditorium. We've got the highlights of the top two left pictures, which are you can see the green and everything. That's the sheathing of the building itself for insulation and such. It's near completion, but the exterior metal framing has been completed, which allows us to get to this particular step. It looks like the roof in that middle bottom picture is complete. So the roof is on, ready to go forward. And then some of these other pictures, like to the left of the roof and to the right of the roof, are the internal walls and the framing that is going along quite quickly. You can't really see it in here, but if you were inside this particular building, you can see where the slope floor is and where we're going to be putting the permanent seating for the auditorium itself. I'm really excited. It looks really, really good in there. They've had at least 40 days of delay from the rain, and I fear that we might be at 41 today. But they've just moved along and been doing a great job. What you don't see here also is there's parking lot additions to, what is it, the north and I believe east of our existing parking, which they've got graded out. They've got the curbs in, and they put a little bit of asphalt down either yesterday or the day before. So they're really moving along well. Still gotta push and get this thing put in. Like I said, I'm expecting this to come in early fall when we do our substantial completion.
And when I was driving around yesterday, they were rolling asphalt on the main lot addition. So that's certainly a very positive thing.
And then the next slide will show Blue Ridge. And you can see that the exterior is getting worked on. It's getting a nice little facelift to make it look more like our other buildings in the program. Then inside here, you can see where they've got the drywall finishing. They're working on the HVAC and the elevator. The shaft has been all the structural steel has been installed in the shaft, and they're working on that as well. So. Man, it just looked completely different in there. They completely gutted it, and again, I'm excited to see what they do with this as well. Along with some of the touch-ups on the outside, like they're putting a new fence in, so that exterior fence area looks good, and they're doing a little bit of landscaping and such as we go with that. And there will also completely redo the parking lot, so we hopefully won't have any more issues with this particular parking lot. As we've done with several of our other remodels. I think that is it. Are there any other questions?
This is Brent Schoenemeyer. Is there an update on the elevator at Woodneath?
We are working on the elevator right now. They're still having some small permitting issues, but for the most part, we are pushing forward with that. They definitely have the shaft in place. I think there's still a little structural steel that needs to be put in there, and they're getting ready to order it. So
it's kind of a two-part question, Brent, because I think part of what you're alluding to, and I might be wrong, is that, what's the status of the elevator? And then, of course, the domino from that is what's the status of the elevator, and is it going to affect our occupancy, right? And so, the status of the elevator is it is lagging. We actually, some of it was supply chain issues, some of it was other issues, but it is a little slow in terms of where we would hope it would be at this point. However, we feel pretty confident from talking with Trudy Faulkner and the people who are helping us manage this project that we should be able to get a temporary certificate of occupancy for the second floor, allowing our staff to utilize that space and coming up with necessary life safety, even if the elevator's not in place. So elevator would probably, based on the timeline that I most recently saw from J.E. Dunn, elevator could be installed this fall and everything would be finished by this fall. But that does not necessarily mean that we won't be able to move in before that time.
Thank you. That was a great response. And just one other quick question. Is there a general update on Green Hills? Some of these things I think you shared with Michael and myself, but I think it'd be beneficial for the entire
right.
community.
No, I think talking about Green Hills is important. So yesterday was a day that it was kind of like a pre-pandemic day for me. So I didn't work out of my office. I had lots of offsite meetings and I killed time going from place to place. And one of the things I chose to do was to drive by Green Hills, take a look at the site. Construction fencing is up at Green Hills for our site. I saw 2 J.E. Dunn pickup trucks on our site working on things, as well as some earth moving equipment. So activity is occurring on Green Hills right now. Based on, we are still on target to do our groundbreaking ceremony, our ceremonial groundbreaking on July the 15th. But perhaps the most important thing is the property transfer, more so than any of these other things that are going on. And we are still on track to go to the title office on or before July the 1st and sign the documents. We have heard from the title company that it may be, trying to remember the days of the week. It may be immediately after the July 4th holiday that Bill Mann is there to actually do his signing, but it's having to do with the holiday and just a few other procedural things. It has nothing to do with any more curveballs. So we will be in full possession of the property right at the beginning of the month, which is what we had anticipated. We have our easements in place and our permit that allow us to continue working while Bill gets the rest of his ducks in a row. But by getting his ducks in a row, I want to be very clear about this. We are not talking about it being weeks turning into months. We're talking about it hours that he has left to do based on everything that we've heard. So Green Hills is not only moving forward, but finally moving forward in the way that I think we all wanted it to be moving forward for the last several months. And the end is in sight in terms of us acquiring and controlling the property. Jake, anything else to add? I know you've been working a lot with Sarah from Bill's office.
No, I thought you phrased it quite well. We're in in fact, after the meeting, I'm going to be sending the final notes to them, and they have promised me that the signature will be forthcoming, and we should be moving forward to this as Steve had said, hopefully finishing up right after the holiday in July.
Yeah, probably one last thing that we haven't really talked a lot about. I mean, we talked about this in terms of the board, and this was the mouse problem that we had at Red Bridge. Red Bridge is reopened. We sealed scores of egress holes, and most of those were actually on the exterior, which we sealed, cataloged, and are sending a bill to Lane 4 because that is actually their responsibility. We had very aggressive extermination, and at the end we weren't catching anything. I think we're in good shape. I think we've done everything that we need to do. We did just have a report this morning with the new rains that there is a new leak at Red Bridge. Could have nothing to do with our previous problem, or could have something to do with our previous problem. But we'll be out there and investigate it as soon as the roof dries out to figure out what's going on there. But that is addressed, and we are, I think in terms of building, we did everything that was our responsibility on the outside. We also did everything that was that was Lane 4's responsibility on the outside of the building, but are billing them back and have had assurances that they will make good on that.
I would also say that the leak is not substantial, thank goodness. It's just we can see a little bit of the showings in the roof, so it's a small. I had a hard time looking for it in the photo, so I would say that is good news as well.
Yeah, it's probably not related then, or potentially not related to our previous issues. So. I think that's all we have on updates. Okay.
So I guess we can close the door on Mouse Gate then.
I'm hoping, and now, per previous suggestions, now would be a good time for us to start writing the children's book on the mouse that had to get into the library. So,
Yeah,
so
totally.
we'll start working on that.
Yeah, I like that John Mouse Gate. That's yeah. So I guess the next thing would be to just close session. So
and just to clarify, this is a closed session under the provisions of Missouri statute to discuss the leasing, purchase, or sale of real estate by a public governmental body where public knowledge of the transaction might adversely affect the legal consideration thereof.
okay.
Brent Schoenemeyer, so moved.
Second, Joyce.
Aye.
So all in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Any